Welcome to Beatsource Tech. My name's Mojaxx and today I'm getting a little bit of deja vu. We're looking at the DDJ-FLX6-GT from Pioneer DJ. Yes, let's be very clear, the FLX6-GT is basically the same as the Flex 6. There are some cosmetic changes and some tweaks to the jog wheels which we'll discuss, but they are otherwise identical. Normally when companies do the whole new paint job thing, I don't bother making a video at all, but with this one I thought it was worth taking a look at, not least because I only had the original for a couple of days and so only did a first look video when that came out. I've had the GT in hand for almost 2 weeks, so have got to know it better. But nonetheless, making the same kind of video again, where I go over all of the features and functions, would be a waste of my time and yours. They simply haven't changed. So we'll link to my first look above and in the video description, so make sure you go and check that out if you're interested in the GT. So what is new? Well, the new graphite look is certainly striking. It's lighter in colour than the old one, almost like a neutral grey, and has an extremely matte finish, which seems less inclined to show fingerprints by comparison. I'm all for adding more colour into DJ gear, so whilst it might seem ironic that I would celebrate something so grey, I'm honestly more excited by this than the usual plain black. Where the changes go beyond cosmetic is with the jog wheels. They were always my favourite feature on the Flex 6 with their full CDJ size and segmented Q displays, but the GT levels them up slightly with a new metallic texture on the capacitive top surface and a rubberized coating on the outer edges. This means they not only look better, but also the tactile experience of using them is improved. What hasn't changed is the resistance. They are still quite loose feeling when compared with other CDJ-sized capacitive jogs, those found on the DDJ-SZ for example. I much prefer these myself. The momentum feels more like the jogs on actual CDJs with the tension set quite low, but I know some people would like them to feel tighter. I even saw a video on YouTube of somebody swapping out the springs in their original Flex 6 to increase the tension. So that's worth keeping in mind if you're the kind of person who likes their jog wheels to feel very tight. As for the rest of the GT, it is the same as the original Flex 6. In summary, it's a 4-channel controller, which unlocks the full performance version of Rekordbox, as well as Serato DJ Pro. It does also work nicely with Virtual DJ, although you'll need to bring along your own license for that software. Pioneer DJ have also released a new tractor mapping for it too, which I tried out. It's a bit hit and miss, with some effects controls not really behaving as expected, and the jog wheels don't really feel incredibly good, as is par for the course with non-native instruments hardware. Can't really blame Pioneer DJ for that though, and I appreciate them making the effort. I still think the Rekordbox Flex 6 mapping is superior to the Serato one. It feels like Serato didn't really know how to address the slightly unusual effects layout on the device, and it's annoying that the pad modes in Serato DJ Pro don't remotely match those on the hardware, but the actual integration performance is great with both platforms. The unique features on the Flex 6 and now the GT are a mixed bag. The jog cutter I still find a bit clunky, but the merge effects are a cool concept which do offer some creative potential in the right hands. The unit does lack when it comes to connectivity, with only a mic on the input side of things and no balanced outputs, although it does have a booth output on RCAs. That was really what led me to conclude at the time of its release that the Flex 6 was purely aimed at home users. And at that time, the price seemed quite high for such a device, but with the benefit of 2 years of hindsight, has that changed how I feel about it? Yes, somewhat. There are 2 new pieces of important context here. Firstly, the DDJ-FLX4 just dropped a week ago, which tells us that the Flex 6 was in fact the start of a new line of products, not just a one-off. The Flex 4 has a lot of similar themes to the GT, with support for both Rekordbox and Serato DJ software, and lots of fun effects to mess around with. I will note that I'm a little disappointed that they haven't switched up the mic routing on the GT to match with the Flex 4. On the GT, the mic isn't routed to the computer, only to the outputs, so you don't get the cool extra mic controls and effects you do on the Flex 4, and it makes live streaming a little more tricky. And I will say that the smart CFX found on the Flex 4 are way more useful to me than the merge effects and loop cutter on the GT, but those would have required an extra hardware button to be added to the GT in order to activate them. The second important piece of context is the price environment in which the GT finds itself. At the time of the Flex 6's launch 2 years ago, $600 in the US seemed like a lot for a controller which is purely targeting home users. In that time, thanks to inflation, the price has actually gone up to $650, and that's what the Flex 6 GT will be selling for too. And whilst I don't usually mention other products in reviews, I did talk about the Flex 6 in my Numark NS4FX video, so it's only right to do the opposite here. The NS4FX launched with a street price of $500, but only unlocked Serato DJ Lite. To use it with Serato DJ Pro, you were looking at an extra $200 at the time, or $250 now. And the Flex 6-GT, like its predecessor, not only unlocks Serato DJ Pro, but also includes a voucher for an extra effects pack and Serato's pitch and time expansion, which would cost you even more to use with the Numark. And that's before you even count the additional value of having the full version of Pioneer DJ's own Rekordbox software unlocked with the GT2, which is really my preferred software when I'm using it. So while $650 is still a rather premium price for a home-orientated device like the GT, that new context certainly makes it a more attractive value proposition in my eyes than the Flex 6 was 2 years ago. For the hobbyist DJ who doesn't want to spend too close to the $1,000 mark but still wants a lot of fun features, the Flex 6-GT seems like a fair deal to me. So there you go, look at the Flex 6-GT from Pioneer DJ. Sorry if this video in itself is a bit underwhelming. There was no way I was going to go back and go over all the same features and functions in detail like I did with the original Flex 6 2 years ago, because they are fundamentally the same product. They even use the same firmware updates, so that should tell you everything you need to know. They're the same piece of gear. There is some cosmetic changes here, and of course the jog wheels do have that change up on the materials, which is welcome. You know, I already thought the jog wheels were the highlight of the product, and that remains the case, even more so with the GT. But it's interesting because I've had a bit longer to spend with this one than I had with the original Flex 6. I only had that a couple of days. Also with this one, we have new context now. We have a new environment in which this device exists, because other things on the market have come much closer in terms of price over the past 2 years. Prices in general have gone up, and the price of this is not much different from the original Flex 6. So actually put it in the market now and it kind of looks like better value, I think, than the original Flex 6 did. And if you are looking for that premium home controller with 4 channels, you want the ability to use lots of different software, then actually the GT will be a great choice for you. Some of the features on there are kind of gimmicky, and not everyone's going to make use of all of them, but it is fun to play with. And if you're looking for a home DJ setup and you've got a bit of money to spend, well, fun, that's fundamentally what you're looking for, right? That's my take on it anyway. So I would still caution you, if you're really into DJing and you're thinking, I want equipment that I can take out to gigs, I don't think the Flex 6-GT is the one for that any more than the original Flex 6 was. It doesn't have balanced outputs. It doesn't have much in the way of inputs. So that connectivity is not quite there. It's not that kind of device. And Pioneer DJ will sell you other devices that have that kind of functionality included. That's not what the Flex 6-GT is about. This is the home setup for the DJ who wants to mess with 4 decks, who wants some fun features. And on that level, yeah, I can get down with it. In the comments this week, I'd love to hear from you guys and girls about the first time when you saw or got hands-on with a controller that made you think, oh yeah, maybe this controller thing has legs. For me, it was the Novation Twitch, RIP to that one, with its pads on there. I really enjoyed using those, and the touch strips and everything else. That felt like something from the future. Then that was followed pretty quickly afterwards by the Vestax VCI 380, and that was the first time on a controller that I had jog wheels I felt I could really get down with. So yeah, let us know your experiences. What was the controller that first opened your eyes and made you think, yeah, this controller stuff has a future? Thank you for watching this episode of Beatsource Tech. I do hope you've enjoyed it or found it useful. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel and you turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any future videos. I'll see you next time.